Hello, good morning, and happy holidays. Karen Lovely here. I know it's been way too long. I've been supersonic busy, going after dream after dream after dream, thanks to COVID-19, and giving me a huge wake-up call. And so I've just been riding horses and dancing and working and coaching amazing clients like beyond belief, and no time for social media, no time for the mundane as far as I'm concerned. Out there living it, doing it. And it's been quite a journey, probably the best ever, because I was forced to really examine myself and my life and see how absurd reality can be, but also how I can stop myself thinking someday I'll get to it when it's looking like that's not going to happen. So carpe diem. Absolutely go for it right now. There is no someday. Now more than ever, we want to really just go for every inconceivable dream. Capitalize on all your talents, your skills, your genius, and just go for it with no excuses. That said, I am here this morning with one of my most incredible long-term clients, and we're going to do a kind of recap, but from the beginning, how we originally met, and, go from there to see how far we have come. He has come from the beginning to where he is now, but also his preconceived notions and when he met me, how he met me, and how that all worked, because it's one of my most greatest moments of my life. So that said, good morning, Kris. How are you?
Hey. Good. How are you?
Well, kind of a little rusty in the podcasting thing because it's been so long. But yeah, I'm feeling great and ready to rock and roll. So you actually inspired this by bringing up remember how I met you, and remember, how great it was to see me hit the target and win like $40,000 worth of stuff. Something of that nature. Yeah. But you go ahead.
Being Karen in action.
Yes.
Karen in the wild.
Yeah. So go ahead, your take on it. Feel free to just embellish and describe. Tell us from your point of view what you were witnessing.
Okay, so I'd like to maybe build some context to the meeting you. So my business partner Cody and I went to LA for an event. This was really the first time I was like in LA, being around people. I usually would just go to the airport when I would travel, and so going to the event, we had a social the night before the last day, which that was when you won the prize. We met you on the rooftop bar. You were like dancing around and having a good time. You just seemed so free. And at the time, I was not free. And I was like, wow, this is really interesting. Are all Californians like Karen? Not knowing what was really going on there. And that was very inspirational, and I was kind of in awe. And then the next day, when we had they had like a prize at the end of the event, Karen somehow summoned they gave out cards, and you had to make your best 5-card hand. And Karen went around to everybody and collected a royal flush, which is the best poker hand you can make. And that, I think it was like top 2 people got to be on stage or something to compete for the prize. And so Karen had the best hand, which I thought, first off, that was magic there, to have a royal flush, which is the best poker hand. And then from there, it came down to the last activity, so to speak, to determine who the winner was of all of these prizes. It came down to hitting a target, I don't know, it's maybe 15 feet away. And I think think the other girl went first, and she completely whiffed. And then Karen hits the target like perfectly. And it was so funny to me because you were so astonished that you'd won. Like, it seemed like you were so surprised. Like you didn't realize you hit the target because you were, as I remember you telling me in the past, that you were so focused that you didn't even, like, it didn't dawn on you that you just won. You were so focused on hitting the target.
Yes.
And so it was really cool to see, and that was my first two experiences really being exposed to you and your beingness. And at the time, I was like, wow, I need to stay in touch with her. And that's kind of what I did over time.
Yes, but wait, let me interject, because I want to tell you my side of the story, because you could only see it from your side. And the one thing, first of all, there were 4 people that got a royal flush. So the thing is, the whole event, which was what, 2 days? The whole idea. Yeah, the whole idea. Wait, hold on. Yes, sorry, technical difficulty, the internet. The whole idea is you go in, it's a networking event, cards are handed out, you're rewarded for great behavior, participating in the networking event, and you're handed cards, and the game was to get a royal flush. Yes. And first of all, I don't even know poker. I didn't even know the royal flush is the best thing. But I'm collecting cards, but I realized toward the end, see, there was only about an hour and a half left of the event, maybe 2 hours. And I had all different arbitrary cards. I had nothing. I had no hand. So I said to myself, Karen, hand out your cards to help somebody else win. And so that's what I did. I said, hey, do you need this? Because I saw people looking at their cards, getting excited, and I had an ace. I thought, oh, let me give away the ace. So I'm giving out the cards, but before I even started, I can't remember, but I did remember hearing a voice in my head or something that was very cosmic going, Karen, you can win this. So that was after I handed out all my cards. I'd given out all the cards, helping someone to win, and then I heard the voice, and the next thing you know, I start collecting cards again with just an hour and a half to 2 hours left of the event. That is what's so astonishing. Even to me, but I believe in the law of attraction and setting your mind to something, creating it, but I also believe in spirit. Like some spirit from above said, you can win. And the next thing you know, I started collecting cards and I started asking my friends and the people that were there, you know, do you want your cards? And they saw that I was collecting cards with excitement, vim and vigor. And then in that energy, someone out of the blue handed me a card that I didn't even know and said, if you win, I get to pick one out of the bucket of prizes, because there's a whole bunch of prizes, you know, worth like 40 grand total. And I said, great. So then what happened? Sorry. Shaya, I'm speaking. Quiet, please. And so then what happened was all of a sudden I had all these cards, and sure enough, I did collect a royal flush in that short amount of time, which is completely like unheard of, so absurd. But then there were 4 people who actually had royal flushes when it was time to come up to the stage, and I couldn't believe it. So then we had 3 rounds of eliminating people, because that had never been done. There's usually only one winner. That was the first time ever at that event. I've been to several, like a handful of those events. We never had a competition. It was just one ticket number, one winner, like, you know, at a raffle type situation. So then we went through the 3 rounds, and then the final round was the Nerf gun thing, shooting the target. And I waited to go last, and I let the woman who was in front of me go, because my whole strategy was to stay present, stay focused, because I've made the mistake so many times to sabotage myself. That's why, Kris, you said it. I had no idea I had won because I was so focused on hitting the target, which means if you shoot, and I do now more regularly, but then I'd only taken a couple of lessons to shoot a gun. I knew that I needed to line up the sight. And that's all I was focused on, is technique, staying focused, concentrating, not caring if I ever won or not. And sure enough, bullseye. I hit the target, but then I do remember everyone cheering. You remember that, Kris? There I was.
Oh, yeah. I was going crazy.
Really? Oh, shoot. I wish I had the whole thing on video. Yeah, I barely knew you. I just met you, right? So I didn't know what was happening, even if you were still there. Because, again, it was the last thing. And all I saw was everyone cheering. And then somehow I realized I hit the target. And that's when I just went crazy. And I was screaming, actually, not that I had won. I was so happy I hit the target because that's all I cared about in that moment. That moment. Now, that's key. Stay present. Okay? On top of, I trained to shoot years ago. Years and years and years ago. But I never forgot what I learned. And I did extremely well at the time I took lessons. So my instructor had said, you'd pass any LAPD test. So I thought, wow, this is awesome because that's all I care about is excellence. Being really good at something I'm spending time and money on. So then that was, huge for me. Believe it or not, all the things I won became completely irrelevant. It didn't even matter at that point. I was so happy to have been so present and then to have attracted the ability to even have the opportunity to shoot at the target. You see this? So huge, Kris. And that, I want people to know the background of that success is more from a performer standpoint, an athlete standpoint, even singers and actors. The whole thing across the board is staying present in the moment. You see? And so that's what I love about this story so much. And I love that I am competitive, but I was able to win because of my brand new mindset that I failed so many times in my life. Because I didn't have that mindset. I didn't have that focus. The biggest thing is I wasn't able to stay present enough to even focus. And that is because of this work that I teach and preach and practice first and foremost. So that said, right, I wanted to just clarify a few of the facts in terms of the 4 people and how that all went. So I remember now, you're right, we had met at the rooftop the evening before. I see. And I had forgotten that. Okay, anything else you want to say about this? Or remember?
Well, I was just, because obviously my first impression of you was at the rooftop. I don't know, the thing that sticks with me the most is just how free you were. And I had originally thought, all Californians must be like this. I want to be out here more. So I had this desire to come to the West Coast until I later learned that that's Karen. That's a Karen thing. That's not a Californian thing.
Yeah.
And so that was really funny, but it was really cool to experience that because it doesn't matter where you go. That's the energy you carry, and that's very attractive. And it's it's magnetic, so to speak.
Yes, Think and Grow Rich, Napoleon Hill, it's a magnetic force. But I call it magnetic source with an S. Yes, absolutely, no question. Not to say there aren't other free Californians out here. But I know what you're saying. My ability to not care what people think, right? Who I'm being and what I'm doing, what I'm saying, what I'm not saying. I kind of roll by the beat of my own drum, but that's because I've worked so hard to be so free. Which that is, for me, the bottom line, is to get out of our own way, understand the internal battle and conflict in our own minds, connected to our heart, which makes it even more atrocious and tumultuous. And then still, regardless of circumstances, regardless of external conditions, regardless of the market trends, regardless of inflation, regardless of people hating me or not caring about me, regardless of rejection or business down, business up, money in, money out, regardless of any and all circumstances outside of myself, I maintain a sense of internal freedom. Free emotionally, mentally, spiritually. But that is every area of life. We can go on and on. Freedom in every area of life. And that is my joie de vivre, my raison d'être, my reason for being is if I'm going to be here in the limiting human suit, then I better be as free as humanly possible in my mind, my spirit, my emotions, my feelings, my full self-expression, my communication, my dance ability, my equestrian ability. Free. And so I just want to emphasize that. And also the blanket statement, you assumed everyone would be like me. That is weird, isn't it? That is where people get in trouble. That's like saying all Democrats are, all Republicans are, all Hispanics are, all Asians are, all African Americans are, all Caucasians are, yes? All Chihuahuas are. You see how the brain tricks us to blanket statement things that are so absurd and make no sense whatsoever. Isn't that interesting, Kris? You assume...
Yeah, it's the only way my brain can make sense of it.
Exactly, which is a perfect example of how we all as humans with human brains make that mistake because we just don't know otherwise. So that's very exciting. Okay, so then we have that situation, and the thing that's so amazing, I used to want everything. Everything, it was always external for me. Success, accomplishments, winning, getting all the prizes. You see this? I mean, I won a private helicopter ride in Hawaii. I won an Airbnb on Oahu. I won a flat screen TV. Still haven't picked that up, by the way. And just so many other things. Consultations with high-level people. And oh my God, a beautiful, beautiful handmade wooden bicycle, $5,000 bicycle. Is gorgeous. Made in Portugal. You know, so many things. And, you know, in the past, the former me, the me that was addicted to materialism and everything and anything outside of myself, that would have all meant something. But because of this work, it doesn't, I mean, I'm happy to have it all. Yes, but it doesn't mean my false perceptions of what I believed it to mean in the past. That I was worthy, that I was good enough, that I was skilled, that, you know, I have things, therefore I'm cool, and, you know, I'm chic, and and I'm popular, and all of this. So that's just another point I want to make to really see how different, you know, I've become. But that way of being, me not being focused on the external conditions and circumstances, had me win. That's the bottom line. That's what actually had me win. And then the mystery, the mystique, the mysterious, the mystical. It's so weird how I collected a royal flush in such a short amount of time when I finally set my intentions on it. But that was because my intuition, my intuitive GPS, which I'm highly, highly intuitive, telepathic, psychic. I have a very, very high spiritual ability. But when I felt that, I thought, oh, okay, I guess I'm just going to go with it. I didn't think anything more. And I just started, you know, collecting cards. So that's another part. That's all about the law of attraction. But magnetic force, Think and Grow Rich. I call it magnetic like the principles of magnetization being such a powerful, compelling energy that other vibrations key into, even things, cards. So that's one of my most favorite areas of living, of expertise, of teaching, is living in that magic, because that's the best part. Okay, so there we are there. Questions? Anything else you want to say about that? Anything else you're getting there, Kris, that rings true for you or makes sense?
What rings true for me, and this is something that I've wrestled with for a long time, that I feel like you're extremely strong in, is the faith piece and the spirituality. I was doing a little reading this morning and journaling about faith, and almost as I was reading Think and Grow Rich, and the passage I was reading it really dawned on me that being in action is a piece of faith. So constantly like trying new things and being and testing and being out there and in it, it builds up this faith. And in the book he references that's the only way to get in touch with basically spirituality, the infinite intelligence. And so, it dawned on me that, oh, wow, okay, so the more that you're in action, the more you have faith in your abilities and in your confidence, and that builds compounding over time, and that also builds that spirituality along the way, because that's basically what puts you in touch with spirituality. So I had this great insight about that, and it lines up with kind of what you're talking about here with your spirituality.
Right. Now, there are different levels and different levels of consciousness evolution, and then there's just somehow, some way, we're going to say gifted, right? So I don't fully agree with Napoleon Hill, you are in action, it builds a faith. There are many people, depending on their personalities and so many different factors, that some people like myself have inherent faith, which faith, the definition of faith is believing with no evidence. It's we can say it's biblical. That's the definition of faith, is believing with no evidence. And I naturally, early on, as a small child and an infant, had that ability to believe with no evidence. So I do actually believe that we all have the ability to some degree or another. Some people have it more naturally, second nature, and others do build on it and develop it. And it can always be more developed, even in someone who naturally has that ability. Does that make sense?
Yes, and just to clarify, that the action and faith piece, that was my own interpretation from this morning. It wasn't necessarily Napoleon Hill saying that. So it was, I'm for those listening, I'm more of the one that I got to build on it.
Yes.
Because I lack that faith inherently.
Yes, and that's because of your personality, and you're more an objective-based personality. I'm more subjective-based. So the more subjective, the easier it is to have faith. The more we want objective information or evidence, the harder it is to believe with no evidence, because you're always going to be looking for the evidence, right? Believing without seeing. A lot of humans need to see to believe. Not to mention all of the viruses and the myths and the lies we tell ourselves based on our negative perceptions that are unconscious to us. So, yeah, that's excellent to build on that faith. And yes, the more we practice believing in the faith, we can actually then back it up by the evidence through our actions, and we want to stay in that cycle. Believe in no evidence, then we create the evidence, then you keep believing based on the evidence that you had created, but then sometimes there is not the evidence that we need, so we then practice believing with no evidence, keep going, and then we get more evidence. And then we start to build up this ability to go, oh my goodness, it works. Remember the time I did this. Remember the time I did that. Remember when this happened, when that happened. And the bottom line is, it won't ever hurt to believe with no evidence. Not only that, I take it to the next level, is having blind faith. Blind faith, believing with not just no evidence, believing even when the evidence is stacked against us. Woo! That is big. Believing with negative evidence, with negative, less than any possibility of evidence. Believing when everyone's like, no, stupid, not going to work, you don't know what you're doing, you're going to lose, and you keep believing. And some of the greatest people in history have been able to do that. Is believe with the haters, the critics, and still change the world. So that is the best, biggest thing that I live by. Is, not just believe, but believe when in the face of critics or nothing, like it's not even possible. Oh, that's impossible. Okay, well, I don't care. I'm still going to believe. And I still win, even if it is impossible. Because if you're believing for no reason, you're in a very high vibrational frequency. So that's what's very astounding also. And, again, that's what it took for me to get back into collecting cards for a royal flush. Is I had negative evidence, didn't I, Kris? I just gave out all my cards. Didn't I? Yeah, I did. And then I was like, oh, wait. And I didn't even have any regrets. All of a sudden, I just like, you know what? Are you going to have your cards? I saw cards sitting on the table. I'm like, oh, can I have these cards? Are you going to use them? Uh-oh, sorry. Hang on. Dogs, I apologize. Kris, go ahead and speak. I'm going to quiet the dogs. Oh. Okay. Yeah. Anything you want to say there?
Just to kind of maybe further my own interpretation is that in the faith, believing with no evidence and still taking action despite the odds being stacked against you or not having the evidence, that's something that's where I correlate the faith to be action. Because where I'm objective, I have to see the evidence before I take action.
Right.
And so the connection I made is take action despite not having the evidence. And in the action, you build the faith and you build the evidence. And that cycle is it's a matrix that you want to hang out in, not in the matrix of, poor me because I don't have the evidence. It'd be a waste of time to take action here because I don't see the evidence. And so that was where my mind went this morning. That I thought was very valuable to me.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And, that's what most human beings do. They go, what's the point? Why bother? So they don't have the belief, but then they're not even going to do the work. And that's, people are getting lazier and lazier with the power of the internet, from my standpoint. And it's easy to just go, oh, why bother? But that's our brain. It's not even actually the person. By default, the brain says, no, don't act. It could be dangerous. It could create more fear. It could be threatening. And that's what stops most humans. Not to mention, but I'll have to mention it, if you have a personality type that errs on the side of more negativity and objective information versus subjective, it's also going to be harder. But, this is something that has to resonate with people. There are people who are so objective, need evidence upon evidence upon evidence, There's no room for faith, let alone blind faith. And that's okay too. You know, to each his own. But the thing is, you want to develop. You're saying you want to develop this ability to be subjective and have blind faith, yes?
Yes. And I do believe since I've been in the coaching, I've been developing that.
Yes.
Which is a major driver for me.
Yeah. So let's talk about that. So you saw that, and then you said, oh, I got to stay in touch with her. Yes. So you did, right? I guess we exchanged we had to have exchanged information, right? That I don't remember. And you gave both of us your card at the rooftop bar. Oh, I had a card? Oh my God. How hilarious. Yeah. I did? Oh my God.
Yeah. I still have it.
Really? Oh, wow.
Yeah,
okay.
I have 3,000 business cards now.
Yeah, I bet. Okay. So yes, and then you stayed in touch. So just go to, you know, you want to stay in touch, but what else was going through your mind? Then I guess I explained I'm a coach or something. Look at me. What did I do? In my freedom?
Well, yeah, our conversations for the next, I don't know, maybe 9 or 10 months was really just catching up. Hey, how are things going? You know, what do you got going on? I think I was just really just trying to better understand who you were and what you did because I didn't know. But we always seemed to find a way to talk about my problems when we were on the phone, which I didn't mind because the way it was for me, my interpretation was I'm getting help, which I needed or wanted. And so I wasn't opposed to it. And then there was a point in time where you were kind of like, all right, I've been giving you some free coaching here. You know, if you want to take this to the next level, like, let's do something here. And, you know, to me, I didn't know what that looked like. But I knew I needed help because I had just gotten out of a relationship. It was, you know, a time in my life where I'm like, something's got to give. What I'm doing isn't working. And I didn't consciously say that, but I think unconsciously or subconsciously, I'm like, dude, we got to switch it up. Like, something's got to change here because this isn't looking good.
Okay, yeah, so you're looking for insights, you're looking for wisdom and enlightenment from me because of the energy. So that makes sense, and I'm always about that, especially if someone's coming toward me. I think you were always calling me. I would call you back, but I wasn't calling you. You stayed in communication, right, which is key. So if you're going to call me, I'm going to answer. We're going to talk. Now, the thing that hit me more is we kept talking about the same thing. And it was, you know, your business too. We did talk about, excuse me, your ex-girlfriend, you know, and I had, of course, insights about that. But it was about your business. You were telling me about what you were doing, what you wanted. You had even another coach you had hired. And the only thing I remember was saying, okay, what are you doing here? You've told me the same thing over and over for months now. You're the jack of all trades, master of none. Then I think I brought up, you know, the coaching aspect. But I just called you out on it. It's like, you're the jack of all trades, master of none. Do you remember that?
I don't. Well, maybe a little bit, but where my mind goes is that probably went right over my head in the moment. I get the saying, but back then I had an ego of like, oh, well, I know what I'm doing, you know? And I think that went right over my head. But I also knew or felt, okay, she's saying something that's powerful here. And the call out, I think, was really what resonated with me because I had been stuck in my own cycle, not knowing it, but also not knowing how to get out. And you kind of woke me up there.
Yes, and that's what we all need. But I'm just going to be brutally honest. I don't like talking about the same thing, especially with people not willing to do anything about it, but you were smart. You then opened up your mind to go, yeah, what am I doing? And am I serious about getting help? And I know, I often say, I do this for a living. I'm a coach, so at some point, I'm not going to have the same conversation with you when you're in the same place over and over again. Right? Again, just being honest. And I think that's when it clicked over. But the thing is, I was never saying, oh, you need coaching, let me help you. Right? It was like, okay, I'm not doing this. Right. I can help you if you want it, but I'm not having these same conversations. I don't even like them with myself. Right? And again, that was the call out. And it was just honest. It was nothing personal. Right? There's the freedom, the full self-expression. And I know this because I talk to everyone like this. I don't want to hear this again. Now I have a disclaimer. If I hear that again, I don't even want to talk about it. Right? Unless you're doing something to get help with me or anybody else. But you were so super smart, and yeah, that did wake you up. Because here you are today. So let's just, Kris, go ahead. Tell us where you were then. Just kind of go through, the boom, 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 the objective reality of where you were then, and what was happening as compared to where you are now.
So at the time, I had a business partner in the real estate business, but I was also working a full-time job at a software company. And my business partner and I in real estate, we had 5 properties. And I was also traveling all the time for the software company. And what my intention was getting into the coaching with Karen was to, increase my income. I was all about the money, increase my income. And the other thing was part of the reason for the income was because I felt that my mom's health was going south, and I wanted to be able to provide for her. And I think a little bit of the real estate was about that as well, this whole idea of passive income. And so, those were big drivers for me, the money and helping my mom.
Well, yeah.
Not knowing what this all coaching entailed.
Yes, but feeling indebted to help her. Thinking that the money would extend her life and help her. But more from an indebted standpoint. Yes? Now, the thing is, you actually said a number that I said, well, what is it you really want? What are you looking for? And you're like, I want to just increase my income by this amount of money per year. You have so far exceeded that number, it's mind-blowing. It's I don't know, what, 2,000, 3,000%? So, right? Or it's such a high percentage. You just blew that number away. Right? And then on so many other levels, not only just that number, it took so much. I mean, you went from 0 to hero in, 3 years? Just over 3 years.
Yep.
Right? Working a full-time, I'll just say it, working a full-time job, traveling, you had 5 properties. Do you still have those 5 properties?
Yes.
Okay. And they were positive cash flowing at the time? That's pretty good, though.
Yes.
Okay. So...
Yeah, we made some good purchases.
Yeah, you did. So that was really smart. Working full-time jobs, and then your business partner also working full-time job. But you wanted to increase everything, and you wanted to leave that job to pursue your entrepreneurial endeavors full-time. Is that right?
Yes. And honestly speaking, I really did enjoy the job I was doing. I know a lot of people may not enjoy their job, but I guess I had maybe an unorthodox approach. I knew I wanted to lead and to be free, and that was my thought process or pattern or way I was going about it.
Yeah. So then in that time, but that took about 2 years. First of all, when you got into coaching, you started getting one promotion after another. one opportunity after another. And then you finally got up the courage to give your notice in an extremely powerful, confident, courageous way, to leave that to pursue the real estate business full time. Okay? And, you know, you did all of that, and also you were able to take control of the company 100% with your original partner, so that it is in fact your business through and through, right? Where that wasn't the case for a while. So now you're a full-time entrepreneur, full-time business owner, left your W-2 job, and it had some great perks. And within that job, you were offered, through the coaching and your ability to gain your confidence, you know, and your courage and your communication skills, you were offered just different jobs. You did level up. It was a whole process. It wasn't one and done and Speedy Gonzalez, but considering it's only just been over 3.5 years, you see this? That is absolutely incredible. But not only that, you know, we can say that now you own the company. So just kind of give us some percentages, right? You had 5 properties then. You've increased that, you know, by what? Now you got a bigger portfolio.
We have, we have 19 properties, 17 are rentals, and we have 2 flips right now.
Yep.
And we'll buy a couple next week.
That's huge.
Yep. But our primary business model, so to speak, is the wholesale piece, which is really where the growth has been tremendous.
Mm-hmm.
So since 2020, since we started the wholesale, we've done, including the properties we bought for ourselves, we've done 170 deals.
Wow.
We did 58 in 2020, and we've done 112 year to date, and it's the end of 2021.
Yeah. Incredible. I mean, it's unbelievable. But you've worked really hard. You've been super ambitious and diligent, and at no small cost of time, money, energy, you know, confrontation, breakdowns. You have and continue to pay your dues, so to speak, and continue to examine, get out of your own way. What we do here is get rid of the invisible hidden blocks that you don't even know are there. Because the thing is, the case study is simple. It's not what you were doing at all. Because you wouldn't have never had needed to hire me if you could have done this. And you were jack of all trades, master of none, still working a full-time job and couldn't even level up from A to B in that job at the time. Right? So we can clearly say, also you had another real estate coach who was telling you what to do. What to do. How did that go for both of you?
It was poor. We had poor results.
Yeah, you weren't getting anywhere with that, or very little, so to speak, yes? You weren't able to fulfill upon the doing, right? Nor was I. I mean, you know, it's the same thing for me, is, my God, you had enormous potential. Don't get me wrong, but potential is nothing if it's not producing, you know, objective results, right? And so the key to the whole thing is, who are you being? Who are you being? But why are you sabotaging yourself? Why are you getting and staying in your own way? You're caught in the sick, creepy matrix, and you don't know how to get out. That's all that is. Your mind, your perceptions are lying to you. They're not matching up with objective reality. And then it's creating false perceptions, which create our emotions and our feelings, our moods and attitudes, which then dictate our actions or lack thereof. And that's what was happening. And so you were able to heal a lot of the inner wounds. You were able to see what was getting in your way that you had no idea. And in that, there's a direct correlation to all the results you've been producing. Also, you're training to get help in what to do. Fantastic. You definitely want to do that. But this comes first, and now it freed you up to do more. Yes? To handle more, to be more responsible, to manage more. And that's exactly what's been happening. Not only that, though, Kris, look, that's just one aspect. You asked for the money, you got it, and then some. You blew those numbers out of the water. But what else? This is one-stop shop, second to breathing as far as I'm concerned. What really matters here? Like, that's all great stuff. We're not putting it down, but what else have you gotten out of all of this from then to now?
So, the biggest thing is definitely got to be my relationship with my family, particularly my parents.
Mm-hmm.
For so long I had always had, and I didn't realize this at the time until I got into this work, I had resentment built up towards them. And that drove a lot of my behaviors or my moods when I would be around them. My mom's getting on my nerves, whatever it is. But through this work and over time, I've been able to let go of that resentment and accept my parents for who they are, and also who they're not. And in that, my energy, the way I am around them, is completely different than how it used to be, and as a result, has had an impact on them, where they are now, their lives are better off now than they were before when I had that negative energy towards them. And it's been extremely freeing, and it's helped me stay in a higher vibration longer, because I don't get triggered when I'm around them into my old ways as much.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's it's been extremely valuable. And I would also say that me personally as a human, I, in my own way, have, in all areas of my life, relationships with people, my relationship with, myself and my body, like eating, working out, self-care, self-talk, all of those things have dramatically improved, and my intention about what I'm doing has dramatically improved, and that has given me more freedom than I ever thought. I used to think, I need to go travel to get that freedom, but the freedom really comes from within, and that's what I've been able to, the point in my life I've been able to get as a result of this coaching.
Yeah, but you're missing out on the biggest thing that matters the most in the end, right? And it's not the money, I'll tell you. Because you have such a rich relationship with money now, it's mind-blowing. Where you understand deep down the value of true investment and what comes first, which is you. The best investment you'll ever make is in you. The investor. It's never about the investment, it's the investor. And I train investors. Then investments are really simple and can be across the board more lucrative, more successful with the least amount of effort. But that's nothing compared to your mother and her health. Which you go ahead and share that, because that's what truly matters more than all the rest we can throw away. Go ahead, share that with us.
So my mom is, I think when I was in high school, she had a few injuries, shoulder injuries. She does physical labor. And because of the way she took care of herself, her ailments took a lot longer to heal. And so she just constantly kept re-injuring herself. And she actually has a bone marrow cancer, chronic leukemia, lymphoma, CLL.
Mm-hmm.
And so, there's just a lot of things. She has always had migraines. As me as a kid growing up, I'd always see her in pain or something. And so I always felt like, oh no, something's wrong with mom. I don't want mom to, obviously go away or die, because, mom has always taken care of me. So it was a very big impact on me to see what's going on with her, but also for me to seek out how to counter that for myself, because I didn't want that in myself. Yeah, it was a huge driver for me, and it was a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, unbelievable of, her really now, you have sourced her wanting to take much better care of herself. Yes? And attend to her health.
I have a few acknowledgments or game changers that have happened.
Okay, go ahead.
One of the things is growing up, and my mom has always smoked, and I was always, as a kid, like wanting for my birthday or for Christmas for my mom not to smoke. And she recently quit on her own accord, and I feel that has been a direct result of my energy as I've been around her over time to get her to that point. And also to kind of go back to her ailments, she doesn't really take good care of herself, meaning food, exercise, mentally. She wasn't conscious in that way, and so she has now is working to hire a personal trainer to train her, and she's been putting on more weight. She's really skinny. She's been putting on more weight, and I asked her last night, actually, how do you feel now? I'm just curious, and she said, I feel so good.
Yeah.
Best she's felt in a really long time.
Boom. Now I want to explain the anatomy of this. You sourced it in your beingness, but your ability to communicate with her, which you were so deathly afraid to do because she always shut you down from you expressing yourself. Mm-hmm. And now, because you also are learning the art of communication and what really works, what's effective, where you can actually listen to her, but also feel heard by her. Boom. That is what sources her choosing. No one wants to hear quit smoking, I don't like it. No. In your ability and the art of communication, you were able to express yourself in such a way that she could understand what you're saying, to compute the information for herself so that she could ultimately make that choice, because she cared about herself to make that choice, not because somebody was telling her to do something. That's how this works. The work gets transferred through the power of communication and the ability to listen and understand, but also set boundaries and hold people accountable. And that's why you're seeing what you're seeing right now, because this happens with every one of my clients, case study upon case study. But I live it. Who cares about case studies? I've done it with myself and my own parents and people around me. And it just, clients continuously have miraculous things happen. No smoking, quit drinking. I had a client, her mother, and her own volition, quit drinking, and she's a raging alcoholic. So that's what you're experiencing here, which is absolutely priceless. Yes? And now she's hiring a personal trainer. Come on! You're kidding. Right? We'll never see that coming. We never thought this day would come. You were just wanting money.
That is so true.
Yeah. That's the miracle, the magic of this. You were just so worried. Let me have enough money to pay her hospital bills and her chemotherapy. That's what you were thinking, weren't you?
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Right.
Yep. But I also say this, very few people will actually go through the work, make such an investment across the board into themselves, and they'll never, ever see these results. Because you get to take this with you, the relationship to and with your mother and your father and your sister. Yes? You can't put a price on any of it. You cannot put a price on your mother's life, her livelihood, her health. Cannot. So that you have that, what else? Or you want to say anything more about that?
Well, yeah, the more to it is it didn't happen overnight, and I'm very grateful to be here just 3 years down the road.
Mm-hmm.
There were a lot of times in the beginning where I'm like, I feel like this is an uphill battle that I will never be able to beat. And so I definitely could have just said, you know what, I just want to give up and not pursue that. And I didn't, obviously, but my motivation also was on me improving myself. And the transference that you talk about is as a result of me improving myself, the new, I guess, like, if you want to call it, like, standard of being, I would no longer allow certain things that I used to allow with my mom. So it kind of, like, woke her up like Karen woke me up.
Mm-hmm.
And over time, that constant wake up of, like, oh, if I want to be around Kris, like, this is how it's going to be. And if I want to be around him, then things got to change. And she sees she feels better now. But it's very hard to see that in the moment, especially early on when that was like something that I really desired, was to help her out.
Yeah.
So,
and here it is.
It's not been a one and done thing, and it never will be.
No. It never will be, and this is the 3-year mark, and she just quit smoking. You see, it takes a while, but this is a huge commitment. I mean, I tell client prospects, anyone wanting to come in, you're looking at a minimum of 3 years. This is and then it only starts getting better and better, but that's a huge commitment, and most people aren't going to make that commitment, but they're never going to have the results. And that's what's so sad, but you are.
Yeah. And
here's the thing. Can we also mention your mother was like, no, don't go into coaching. Remember that?
Oh, yeah. I'd like to talk about two things. One is my personal commitment. What did that look like day to day? And then the other one is my mom has, first off, not met you. She had an opportunity to, and she didn't. That was October 2018. And she didn't. In the beginning, she was very much so against me making the investment. And then she also, because she was against me making it, she had resentment towards Karen. And she had never met Karen. Never talked to her.
Yep.
So she has no idea. And now, today, I'm like, oh, hey, Mom, I got to call with Karen later. She's like, oh, my gosh, tell Karen I said hey and that I asked about her. It's like, it's a 180.
Uh-huh.
And it was the same thing for me going into business, doing the real estate thing. She couldn't believe I was doing that, thought it was the dumbest thing ever, and now she's like, this is the coolest thing ever.
Yep.
Like, wow, I'm so proud.
Uh-huh.
And so, it's a hard lesson to learn for me being the son, because for the longest time I would always believe what my mom said, but I also have my own vision of my life and what I want, and that obviously is not in alignment with what my mom thinks I should have or what she thinks. And so accepting myself and having faith in myself for me, going after what I desire is a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, you see this? In a way, I joke, it's a thankless job, but you know what? Again, there's the freedom. I don't care what y'all think about me. Don't care, really. I'm just going to do my thing and let it speak for itself. And that's it in a nutshell and at its best and its worst, right? And there it is. And again, you sourced it by you saying, great, and I'm still going to do what I'm going to do for myself. And that's freedom, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That really is.
Mm-hmm.
And when I accepted that for myself and just basically, because my mom is someone who I've always sought approval from, and my dad too. And to be able to just say, hey, I'm doing this for me, I don't need your approval, was a big paradigm shift for me.
Yeah, exactly. Which is, believe it or not, for most humans, is to finally let go of that and break free of it. Yes? Of needing the validation of approval to define self as worthy. That ship is long sailed. And congratulations.
Yeah.
Okay, so the last thing, we just have a few more minutes. So what's the last thing you want to say?
I wanted to hit on because we're talking about successes right now, but it wasn't always like that, where there's been a period of time of build-up and the commitment on my end as the student to show up consistently and do the work day in and day out, week over week, month over month, year over year, to get to this point. It wasn't like we've had 10 sessions over the last 3 years and I'm all of a sudden overnight doing the things that I want to do. It's in the beginning I had to say, oh, okay, well, I'm investing in myself. I don't know what this looks like. In fact, I told myself, I don't know what Karen could say to me. Like, I don't know the words that she could put together that would impact me, because I thought I knew it all at the time. And I was open to an entirely new world of language being connected to energy. Before I was like, oh, well, to get rich, you buy houses, and you introduced the freedom aspect and the energy, the spirituality to like me. And so that had a really big, for me to be so objective and need to see the proof, it's been really cool to learn the energy aspect of it and to understand how we interact with people and brains picking up the vibration of other brains and how that all works. But that also came from a commitment of me saying, hey, I'm going to learn this. And there were times where, I felt like I wasn't learning, but in fact I was. It just wasn't obvious to me in the moment.
Yeah, and we've come full circle to the blind faith. You did see me in action. That helped tremendously. There was the evidence. Like, I must know what I'm talking about because you saw me just, win.
Oh,
right.
And I have this mentality that, you have to be practicing what you preach.
Right.
Growing up, I could not respect people that gave advice without having been there before. And I've had a couple experiences like that in my life. So, you nailed it.
Yeah, so there was evidence, but it still required some faith. You know what I'm saying? You had to have some faith at some level because of the investment. The dollar investment. There was some faith.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but you did have some evidence. And now I think about it, that's actually really great evidence, now that I think about it, but there are other people who, didn't need that evidence so much, that have become clients. But for you, it was imperative, and sure enough, there it is. But I just want to say, you already had some blind faith and some faith already going for you at this point, yes? Somehow, some way, right? And, here you are today. And I'm not surprised at all because I know what this can do, because I'm the best, worst case study out of anyone. I know what this stuff does and why it's so, second to breathing, and why I will never stop doing it for myself. End of story. It is the panacea. It is the organic, best drug ever. It is, and you don't need to take the blue or the red pill. You just got to use your own brain. But it will be the hardest, most difficult, challenging thing we could ever do is rewire our brains and become virtually a brand new human in all the good ways. So getting rid of the negative and the bad habits, the disempowered habits, but you still get to keep all your gifts, your talents, your skills, your genius. That's why this is like such a no-brainer. But I can only speak for myself. You also are sharing that here today with us, obviously, but your story and everything you've been through, you know, you have earned, you deserve, and for whatever reasons, you put yourself here, right? I was never tracking you down saying, sign up, sign up. It was complete opposite.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I have there was a point in time, this was before I left the job I had. I was probably a year and a half into the coaching, something like that. And we had this meeting, and I was talking with one of he's the director of like client accounts.
Uh-huh.
And I was telling him a little bit about the coaching, and to help him get a grasp for what I was working on, what I am working on, is I said, well, think of it like this. Like, think of me as a golden retriever, and who I'm desiring to become is like a lion. And so the beingness that I possess as a golden retriever is not the beingness that a lion possesses. And so I have to rewire to get to that point, and that's the work we're doing, is to rewire. And it could be, even for whoever's listening, it could be the opposite. Maybe you're a lion, you want to be a golden retriever. Either way, it takes a rewire, and so that's, in my mind, like, oh, I'm committed to rewiring to get where I want to go. It looks a lot different than what I thought. This is the process of the rewire. And that is a game changer for me.
Yeah, that's excellent. I love that. You know, that example is perfect. That's exactly right. And I don't know what else to say other than, holy smokes, you know, here we are, come just about the 3+ year mark, and the best Christmas present you could ever get is your mother taking care of herself. You know,
Hands
there it
down.
is. What'd you say?
Yeah. Hands down, the best gift
Ever.
that I could have.
You know, the business, all the properties, the wholesale business, everything you guys are doing, you know, having your own business 100%, being a full-time entrepreneur, all of that is great, but icing on the cake. Because this is about first having a relationship to yourself, 0 to 19-year-old, redoing that whole, those whole 2 decades right there, and then having the dream relationship with mother and father. Up there's my time clock. There's little Penelope the pill, my little piggy, saying, all right, it's time to... She's such a brat. Ah! Bacon! Bacon! You want some cute bacon? Delicious! Oh, my God. So, what was I just saying? You know, it's just, everything's icing on the cake, but congratulations, because, I mean, we didn't even touch on your health and your fitness and, you know, your training and your being able to bench press all these weights and blah, blah, blah. You know, you're going after your dreams and they're just showing up in your beingness. So congratulations. Any last words? Can you hear the clanking? I don't know if you can hear it. Yeah.
Oh, no, not really.
Oh, good.
Well, my last words is just gratitude and appreciation. Because as I don't know the perception per se of how it may seem for you, but you know, for me, there have been hard times and times where I wanted to give up, and you know, I haven't. And I would say that's one of my acknowledgments to myself, is my ability to be resilient and to not give up. But also, you know, an acknowledgement to you and gratitude towards you for continuing to work with me, you know, throughout these years. It's been the biggest blessing in my life, for sure. And I'm just grateful, you know. I think it's I have to say that's probably a better blessing, not better, but it's a blessing right up there with my mom taking care of herself. Right? If it wasn't for this, my mom wouldn't have been put in this position to make the choice to take care of herself.
That's right. I absolutely firmly believe that. Yes. So
yeah, so that's, it's changed my life completely in all areas. 180s all over the place.
Right.
So,
one-stop shop.
I appreciate that.
Well, thank you, and I never had to hold a gun to your head. And, I can only help those and empower those who are wanting it and are willing to show up for it. And that's exactly what you have done. From day one, I was just being me, doing me, in my freedom and winning and performing, because that's my thing. And there you are, right? Is you are showing up into you creating your life. I'm just the facilitator, the messenger, all of that. But it's not like I have to hold a gun to your head. You don't want that anyway, because I can shoot. Woo! Had to put that in there. But, never
funny.
Having to hold a gun to your head to have you show up. And train and be who you are today. And I mean, I'm telling you, this is just the beginning. It keeps getting better and better and better. And it's like, you can't even believe it. It's almost like, no way, this is like so surreal. That's all I can say. Woo! All right. Thank you so much to all of you for listening. Kris, thank you so much for inspiring this and for getting me back. You keep saying, come on, let's do this. Getting me back to show up to podcast a bit, because I've just been so busy doing my thing, performing and training for my next big endeavors.
You have so much good stuff, too.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So much good intellectual property to get out there.
Yes.
And all I'm saying is, yes, I agree. And if only we can catch Karen. Let's catch her. We're going to need some high-powered horse rider to come catch me galloping away. Riding my horses. Yeehaw! All right. So happy holidays. I'm excited for the new year 2022. And we're going to do this again. And we're going to keep, I know at least, the very least, I'm going to keep podcasting and have you on here to share, because you have so many great insights as a recipient of this, but you also have so many huge successes. And of course the breakdowns, that it's just so exciting, and you have so much to offer as well in you learning and expressing yourself to share with others. So I appreciate that so much. You have such huge impact on others, and so I appreciate that for humanity. So thank you all.
Oh, yeah.
And happy holidays. Yes, go ahead. You want?
Well, same to you. You have a huge impact on everyone you come into contact with. So that's why I always push for these podcasts. I'm like, so many people can benefit.
Yeah, and I appreciate that. It's just because I've been so gung-ho on training for the equestrian competition realm and all the other fun things I'm doing that, there's only so much time in the day, but I appreciate you saying, hey, let's continue to get your content out, because I have shifted my focus to the winner's circle, because I am a performer and an athlete. And so it's on its way. I don't know when, I don't know what it looks like, but at least I will continue with the podcasting. I worked so hard to get my podcast up, which is now on Amazon Music, and I need to add that link to my website. So there's so much to do, but we'll get it all there. And thank you, Kris, for being so extraordinary, such a genius in your own light, and the world is so much better for you being here on the little blue-green marble. And to that I say, yeehaw! Happy New Year! Thank you so much.